Oh, update required. How about that? Hey, everybody, we're looking at Europa Universalis 5, and some stuff wants to download before it'll let me play. I don't know what farming simulator has anything to do with it, but since we're here, we're going to go ahead and do that update too. And now I'm going to, well, I can't close all of this stuff because if I close the screen capture stuff, you won't be able to see what I'm doing. But media player, yeah. Copilot, gone. Power BI, we'll shut you down. Oh, Explorer, we don't need you up. Doot, doot, doot. And Power BI, we don't need you up. Save changes. Don't save. All right. Steam, you're good. Let's try this again. Where did I put EU5? There it is. Boom. EU5 launching. Cloud out of date. Play anyway. So this isn't my main desktop gaming computer. This is just a laptop I'm futzing around with, doing some videos for the internet. Yeah, I'm not a young person anymore. I just play one on TV. Ta-da! I should continue to talk while we're waiting for this to load. I don't really have anything to say right now. Alright, we're going to try a new game. It takes more time to watch this stuff. Set up the cameras, play around a little bit, just see how this works. To have legitimate reason to make games, not just video games. Don't let me games to be at least that is not my intention. So, for instance, what I'm figuring out right now is that if I were trying to do this as a video game stream, the music's way too loud. It's probably drowning out my voice even as I speak, especially when it cascades and crescendo. Another thing I need to do is clean up the office. And unfortunately, very little of it is mine, so I'm going to have to get some teamwork going to help clean this up. And that's okay. It's not a huge one. So it's kind of cute that I can see myself on the GoPro. That's why I'm using that instead of the built-in camera on the laptop. I have had these GoPros for a couple of years now, and I barely ever use them still. This looks like a really good excuse to use them. Got the Hero 8, which is mostly okay, but the Hero 10 has a screen on the front of it, which I can see myself talking to. I really hope I'm not going to have to get into the whole thing. This seems to be working okay. Might have to do something about the lighting. It seems like I've got some mark on the side of my face, which no. We're not talking because there's a lot of waiting here. Maybe this will be an extended thing. All right. Now, we're in EU5. Let's just select one. Now, I can go back to Cahokia. It's nice to play Cahokia because, well, Cahokia is, they don't get bothered by but I'll tell you what we're going to do first. We're going to go into the settings here somewhere. I'm going to have to get back out of this. Go to the settings. Go to the audio. Go to the music, and let's just turn this almost all the way down. We'll see how that works. Alright, new game. We gotta load it. Isn't that fun? I'm gonna take 20 minutes to do this. I'll let you I'm gonna get to play. But I will let this continue to run. Okay, back up and running. Let's pick a country here. Let's go to Zimbabwe again. I like Zimbabwe. And also, I'm going to put everything on super easy because I have no interest in making the video game a challenge. I'm here strictly to kill time and enjoy myself. Playing as Zimbabwe, super easy. Here we go. Hey, look at that. Alright. I'm going to get rid of this because you can get that on your own version of the game. You can set up control groups. I've never done it. I don't find it very useful. Because you either don't use the control groups or you've got so much stuff that assigning 50 different buttons, you're not going to remember that anymore. Probably not. I don't. Okay. Rivals, we're going to leave that blank for now because, well, no, let's check it out. Who can be rivals? So all of this stuff here that is grayed out, they are not eligible rivals. Kilwa is an eligible rival. You do get some sort of bonus as a rival. Countries declare their hostility, blah, blah, blah. Rival country will not accept treaties. Rivalry is not reciprocal. Only countries with similar great power score and not very good opinion can be declared rivals. So, yeah. This is more important for a little bit later in the game, but yeah. Just set that up. Alright. We can only afford to have one rival. Or, no, we can have 3 rivals. We've got Kilwa. Right. These 3 are grayed out, so they must be outside of our diplomatic range. We're just going to leave that be. Here, possible religious aspect. So, the religions, yada yada, do the default one. But you do have to go and set them. Otherwise, you'll be losing bonuses. Possible diplomatic actions. This shows up here because not exactly that this is full, but it's basically saying you've got diplomacy points to spend. It's not telling you to do anything specific, and you can't just clear that. Alright, now we're going to get to our cabinet. Our cabinet can do a bunch of different things. We can use it to settle. We could, you've got this game. You're not watching this because you think I'm entertaining. You're probably looking for advice if you're watching this. This is a test video. I don't really care about this, but I'm just going to do this like it's sort of for real, and then maybe I'm going to see if I can edit out this nose blow, but maybe not, because a lot of people find this. We'll call that the most valuable inheritance. His father. Only my father, too. He's about as polite as I am. My father, he thinks too much of what other people think. Yeah, something like that. This is going to get edited. Okay, so the first thing I want to do with cabinet is stabilized. Stabilize a country that is right here. So we've got gold, stability, population, legitimacy, prestige, diplomacy, war exhaustion, manpower. A little later, more stuff will show up here as the game goes on. Here at the top left is, this is the character, this is the country, this is the nobility estate. So you've got the, I don't know what we'd call it here in the United States. Either the fourth estate or the fifth estate is supposed to be the press. That figure of speech came from years ago, where estates were essentially kind of like political parties. So you've got your nobility, you've got your clergy, you've got your burghers, is what they call it in this game. This is your bourgeoisie, your business people, your merchants. Uh, Now we've got commoners. There's four estates, and then below that we have a fifth estate in the game called tribes. And these aren't the only estates. There is another one that may show up later. But estates are used to kind of differentiate between different sections of the population in Europa Universalis. All right. So, um, stabilizing our country. I got a little off track there. Stabilizing the country. Come up here and we look at stability. So as stability goes from negative 100 to positive 100, the closer to positive 100 is generally better for your game. Um, Fewer population will join rebels, more will leave. There's a little bit called Great Power Store that derives from stability, and we will discuss that a little later. Um, Now, from generally positive stability, big thing, state satisfaction equilibrium. So we're going to roll back to the estates. Uh, Digress again for a second. If you look up here, we've got 52%, 50%, 50, 50, 50, blah, blah, blah. Now, that basically means that all of our estates are roughly satisfied with their lot in life, and that when we set up taxation, that goes directly to uh, the happiness of each estate. Now, if you overtax your estates or make certain decisions that piss them off, that can lead to rebellion. That is a subject for another day. Now, big thing here is, am I going to be able to continue to talk for 2 hours straight? So, anyway, back to possible cabinet actions. Stabilizing the country. We want to make sure that this goes up, and that since uh, we haven't got to the budget part yet, our stability is increasing by 0.11 per turn, and 0.08 of that 0.11 is from the cabinet member. Now, if you look up here, our legitimacy is also not maxed out. It's higher. It's increasing by 0.07 every month. That's how it ticks on months. So we haven't started the clock yet, but beginning of the game is April Fool's Day, 1337. And since our cabinet, I'm sorry, legitimacy is not maxed out, I'm also going to put strength and cabinet for our two cabinet actions. We've got two cabinet slots. We've got two things to do. One is increased stability, the other is increased legitimacy. Now you can see that number here increased to, well, no, it didn't, because we didn't have that up there before. But now, having the cabinet slot, strengthening the government, adds 0.17 legitimacy every day. So if I say change this back to pick develop profits, random. So we started with increasing legitimacy 0.07, and then when we change it back to strengthen the government, yada yada, now we're at 0.25, which is considerably better. And that means that in basically 100 months, give or take. Our this number won't stay static, so it'll fluctuate up and down a tiny bit. But in about 100 months, we will have max legitimacy. That usually stays that way unless you make decisions that remove legitimacy. It doesn't generally degrade on its own. There are a lot of different factors that go into increasing or decreasing statistics. Now, if you look at the cabinet, you will see over here on the right, got a couple of empty spots that look like heads. Now, we can come in here and for 2.58 ducats, we can appoint someone to be a cabinet member in this cabinet. Now, you don't have to, but we're stabilizing the country. Stability uses the, I don't know what we call it, the combat, not combat, but where can we find this? Cabinet member, administrative, diplomatic, military ability. So stabilizing country uses the military ability. Since we don't have anybody stationed in this slot right now, we're gonna we see that this is brown. It's copper color, which basically means it's at 0. Same with this one. They both use the military ability to increase whatever thing you're trying to increase here. So stability, legitimacy. Now I've selected the empty spot, and if we want to pay our $2.58, then we would select one of the cabinet members. Now, because we're trying to use the military ability, stabilize the country as quickly as we can, I would choose this guy because he has the best military ability of all of these. So yeah. Anyway, you select this. You're going to watch this 0.08 change. Will he be assigned to the cabinet? Yes. Doo-doo, yada, yada, yada. Alright. It's like, it's telling me I just assigned it to the cabinet. Well, yeah, done. This pop-up, you can come in here and disable it, so it doesn't show up. Good purpose. Okay, now, same deal. It's pretty cheap. Strengthening government. We're going to pick this guy. Hey, no pop-up. Alright. Still not started the clock. Now we've got 2 guys doing their thing in the cabinet. Alright. Current research. Don't have any current research going on. We could do organized religion, which is cool. Nomadic tendencies. This proximity cost thing is huge. You'll probably want that. And then I'm going to go up to... That's interesting. We're in the Age of Traditions. This is the tech tree. And tech tree opens up in chunks depending on... Let me go back. We've got ages. We're in the Age of Traditions. These are institutions. Institutions are the categories of technological progression. We currently have the feudalism tradition, or institution, that's active, which means that we can research feudalism type stuff. And let's see, where's it at? Agriculture, quarrying, shipbuilding, organized religion, meritocracy. So if we go back to the ages, just do that. We've got feudalism, legalism, meritocracy. Now, feudalism is the only thing that we have active for an age in Zimbabwe in April 1337. So, and then that means we've got nomadic tendencies and organized religion. Go back to the tech tree here. This glowy stuff is the stuff you can click on. So if we go to an age that we haven't made it to yet, you'll see that there's no glowy stuff, and you can't click on any of this. Back to the Age of Traditions. This stuff's not glowing, but it's not gray, which means it's already been researched. Now we've got organized religion, We come, no, cancel. We come over here. I can see this is the meritocracy. So the first tech of each institution is basically the name of the institution, meritocracy. We don't have the institution, so we cannot research this. We do have organized religion, so we can research this. And actually, that's not even a thing. Ages, feudalism, legalism, meritocracy. So the organized religion is effectively a base. All right, we're going to go back here, advances. We're going to look at the tree. All right, written alphabet. We've already got all of this researched. One thing we don't have is legalism, because this is an institution, and this institution will open up when it spreads to our nation. Now, we'll get into that later. So the two things we can research right now, nomadic tendencies and organized religion. Now, organized religion comes down into some more interesting stuff, like, for instance, institution. We want more institutions. So we're going to want this very soon. But we're also going to come over here. We're going to do the proximity first, because that's pretty important. And then land of the ancestors get... the next thing we can research could be this. We get a legitimacy boost. Culture's capacity, that could be important later. But for right now, we're just going to do these two things. We're going to pick them from this list. We're going to do nomadic tendencies. And then we're going to do the organized religion, because there's stuff out there. We are going to do the institution. And then for now, we're going to leave it. Close that up. Now, this guy, inefficient minting. If you notice, this is our kind of notifications area. On inefficient minting, I am going from right to left. So I think I saw some other YouTuber say that it was more important if it was on the left side. So like out here, you're kind of dealing with their issues, but they're not hugely important. As you move over to the left, they become more important. But they're just all up here. Some of them I ignore, some of them I don't. This is one that I'm going to ignore. Now, inefficient minting. Minting is part of the budget process. We come to government economy. Come to the economy. These aren't your tax settings. I should get to this here shortly. Let's just do it now. So I'm going to auto all the taxes. And what that does is it shoots to keep the estate satisfaction at 50%. And at 50%, the estate won't rebel. So it's basically cool. Now, automated those. Where were we? Minting. Minting can't be automated. You've got to set this on your own. You can set it to whatever. And then here is the important part. You see the inflation. Zimbabwe has a little bit of gold. Like, if you don't have gold or silver, doing this minting thing won't do anything. We'll come back to that in a minute, but suffice it to say is that if you come in and look at Zimbabwe's resources, hey, look, there's a whole bunch of gold right there. So that means that this minting thing will actually do something. And if we want, we can print 0.69 ducats a month. But that will increase our inflation by 0.26% every month. That will climb up very quickly. So since the minting isn't really going to get us anything, I'm going to lower that as much as possible to keep the inflation down. And since we're here talking about the budget, let's talk some more. Cost of the court. This is directly tied to your legitimacy. So if you crank this guy all the way up, your legitimacy will climb very quickly. You'll lose money because it's expensive, but whatever. You're going to possibly want to do the same thing with stability. Now we're losing money every month, but not very much. I mean, basically 0.69 ducats a month with a balance of almost 120 ducats is going to give us a long run out. So we don't need to worry about the burn rate just yet. All right, so make all those automatic. Keep the Army, Navy, and fort maintenance all automatic, but run those down to 0. As they're set to automatic, if we get into a war or combat, then these will automatically go back up to the desired level. All right, we've got budget set up. We close that out. Um, Resource Gathering Operations, RGO. That's what that is. Um, this is just telling us that, hey, this RGO in Chumnungwa. Most of the time, if you click on the name, it'll take you directly to where you're going. I'm going to get out of the raw materials thing. Our capital is right here. This is Chumnungwa, and it is missing people for its resource gathering operation, which is livestock. Now you can see current employment, 727 out of 1,000. That'll take care of itself, sort of. And then, yeah, you can see my maw, my nasty teeth, and blah blah. Okay, now we are going to forget about that because that's going to take care of itself. Unprofitable buildings, forget about that. All right, unmarried Mambo. Mambo's like the king guy. This guy, he's not married right now. That's not important right now. Laws not codified. Now, this one you definitely want to get going before you hit active. And the law that isn't written down is our slaves will be converted to state religion. Now, right now, it only allows me to choose allow state religion. If I look over it, it's forced slave conversion. It's grayed out. We do not have any religion in air religion. I don't know what that means. But if I come down here, it tells me exactly why it's not allowing me to do that. So I guess there's a law about air religion, and that since we don't have that one set, it's not going to allow us to force slave conversion. But we weren't going to do that anyway. What we're going to do is allow slave religion. So that increases their literacy, increases their production output. It moves us towards the humanist values. Humanist. But let's go back to that. We'll allow slave religion. Okay. Yada, yada, yada. All right. Fruit market is missing some goods. Is it? Where is this? Ah, yeah. Right. Get out of there. One thing about Zimbabwe is we don't actually have our own market. We are relying on the market of Sofala, which, screw that. What we really ought to do is come conquer this asshole. But we're going to leave that be for now. We've still got 115 ducats to spend. Not quite done going through here. Okay, here's the inflation marker. We talked about that. Disloyal subjects. This, I'm not sure. I figured this one out. So we've got all of this gray territory around us here, and basically it's not empty. So I'll select one of these gray areas and see the population is 25,628. But this territory isn't really incorporated as a government. There's like these tribes, which is why. Boy, these are the tribes, and these are the loyalty. Like, these are my subjects. They owe me fealty, something. I don't know. They're pretty useless if they're not organized as governments and they don't have any actual territory. You can see that none of these tribes has any manpower for military. They don't have any income for tributary, and for the most part, they're all disloyal and pissy. Here, sort by opinion of us. They don't hate us, they don't hate us, they don't hate us. Now these guys, they start to hate us. You can come in here and you can do stuff like improve opinion That's going to take up a diplomat, and screw it, let's just do it. And we'll see what happens. But this guy doesn't like us. He's going to add 1 to this number for 200 turns. And I don't know what happens if they do like us, because they don't have a country, they don't have any money, they don't have anything to give us. All right. Now, let's see. We don't care about disloyal subjects. We care about inflation. Population needs food. So go to production, goods, sort this by goods balance, and goods balance is like the demand versus supply in the market of, the market's the whole area. Like if I open up the market, there's Safala market. It's taken all of this. So any territory or product in this little defined area gets sold through the Safala market. If building that you construct needs tools, then tools, there's the tools hiding down here at the bottom. These tools have to exist in the market that building is in, otherwise it will suffer from a lack of production assistance or something like that. All right, back to where we were. Don't care about that. Unprofitable buildings, I'm not going to care about that yet. Unmarried Mambo, that'll come back. Pops with needs. All right, they need fruit. So you can come into production, goods, sort by goods balance in your market. Market can be chosen here. Right now, we've only got access to 1, so we can only see to 1. You can make it 0, but for the purposes of this, let's just do that. All right, now we can see that the goods balance of fruit in the Stafala market is, well, terrible. And the way we fix that is you can hit this button or this button. This button will open up like a building chooser. And fruit orchards, we're going to say, well, we want to build some fruit orchards. Now, if you look here on the map, it says build down here now. And over here, we've got a bunch of 0 of. Now, if I click on these, it'll build a fruit orchard there. Or I can click in any of these and it'll build one here. If you watch me do it here, it'll show up on the map. There it is. Boom, boom, boom. And it wanted a lot of fruit, but we're going to unchoose those. We're going to sort by profit. And generally, you want to put this stuff in the highest profitable. So we're going to pick those. Actually, I'm not going to pick those 3. Just those 2. These guys are going to make 1 penny a day. And that is going to add to the, what's it called? Close. Get out of here. Let's go back to the capital. Tax base. So adding that fruit orchard will increase the tax base by 0.01. So this, once it gets built, this will be 174. Now, this is a constantly changing number too. It has to do with a lot of different things. Population fluctuations, trade from the outside, which we don't have any of right now. So it should mostly stay stable, but it may not. So don't expect it to, is what I'm saying. Anyhow, the tax base, if I build this thing, where'd it go? Oh, it's not there. It's here. There it is. If I build this thing, it's going to increase the tax base, but it's not going to increase the tax base of Zimbabwe. It's going to increase the tax base of Communion. So right now it's 0.53. This should go to 0.54 because it is very much lower than the percentage of tax. It probably won't change the tax percentage at all until we get a few of these things built. So anyway, that's going to take some time. Populations with needs, they want fruit, so we're building the fruit. All right. Now, close to being target of international organization. This is our last game start. Pop-up notification. And it says we're an overlord of another country. We may be targeted in independence for blah, 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 blah. All right. This is specific to, well, it doesn't matter. It's not really specific to anything. It's down at the bottom. It's saying no multiple instances for this alert, so it's not gonna show up several times. So I'm going to come over to diplomacy and look at relations subjects to see what it is. And it's not really telling me, other than that they're bitchy, and I'm improving the opinion of one of these. So anyway, I suppose that because these guys are all bitchy, that, yeah, disloyal. So that's why that's coming. You have disloyal subjects, you get this. So in theory, they could all band together and gang up on me, but because they have no troops, they have no land, they have no money, it doesn't really matter. So close that one out, close this one out, and begin. That's it.